Something's brewing in Pittsburgh, and it's not just a flight to Dublin. Steelers Nation is on high alert as Mike Tomlin's defense scrambles to find its identity just days before taking the international stage. And here's the thing. While most eyes are glued to the offense, it's the other side of the ball that's quietly becoming the Steelers' biggest concern. Yeah, we talk about Kenny Pickett. We argue over Matt Canada. We debate every offensive snap like it's life or death. But maybe it's time we turn the spotlight to the defense, because if you've been watching closely, it's been every bit as shaky, every bit as inconsistent, and arguably just as responsible for the rough start to this season. Let's not sugarcoat it. This defense has been giving up nearly 400 yards per game. That's bottom 5 in the entire NFL. For a franchise that's built its legacy on steel curtain toughness, that's not just underwhelming. It's borderline unacceptable. And yeah, they had moments, flashes of brilliance even. Like the game in Foxborough, 4 of the 5 turnovers were legit, forced by guys wearing the black and gold. But then, almost like clockwork, they'd turn around and give up a third down, or miss a tackle, or leave a wide receiver running free through the middle of the field. And that's really where the problems start. This defense is predictable. Too predictable. Opposing quarterbacks aren't just reading coverages. They're practically reading the Steelers' playbook. Line up, telegraph the play, get beat. Rinse and repeat. That's where Joey Porter Jr. and Deshaun Elliott come into play, or at least where they need to come back into play. The defense needs some spark, some disruption, something that throws a wrench into the gears. Porter's been out nursing a hamstring injury. Elliott's been sidelined since tweaking his knee in the opener. But both returned to practice in a limited fashion, and even that feels like a shot of adrenaline for a unit desperate for reinforcements. Let's talk about Porter. He came into the league with question marks, especially around his willingness or ability to tackle. But those knocks from his Penn State days, he's already started to shed them. This summer at St. Vincent, he was being used in new ways, pressed up closer to the line of scrimmage, being sent into the backfield, disrupting plays early. He wasn't just a boundary corner sticking to a man. He was part of the chaos. And that's exactly what this defense has lacked since he went down: unpredictability. Deshaun Elliott, on the other hand, is the glue guy. You want to talk about missed tackles? The Steelers have already racked up 34. That's the second most in the league. But Elliott? Last season, he broke the league's advanced analytics record for tackling efficiency. That's not just a cool stat. That's a game changer, especially for a defense that's letting everything through the middle. He locks that down. He closes those gaps. He eliminates that soft spot that every quarterback in the league seems to be exploiting right now. And don't forget, it's not just about what Elliott does. It's about what his absence forces the rest of the defense to do. Guys playing out of position, rotating to unfamiliar spots, creating confusion and mistakes. It's a domino effect. One guy out of place leads to another trying to compensate, and suddenly you've got a chain reaction of busted assignments. There's still no word if either of them will suit up this week. And sure, the bye week after the Ireland game adds a layer of strategy here. Maybe you hold them out, give them extra time to heal. But the way this defense is playing, that luxury might not be available. There's urgency now, and it's justified. Then there's Patrick Queen, playing with busted-up ribs, still practicing in limited fashion, and still looking like a lock to play. That tells you everything you need to know about his toughness. But toughness alone can't patch up this sinking ship. The one guy we didn't know won't play? Alex Highsmith. That's a huge blow. He's the kind of player who doesn't always fill the stat sheet, but you feel his presence every snap. Whether he's setting the edge, or dropping back, or applying pressure, he brings a level of energy that's contagious. Without him, the defense loses more than just a body. It loses a tone setter. And while we're talking about tone, you want to see how it should be done. Look no further than the Vikings. With Brian Flores at the helm, that defense is constantly in disguise. Pre-snap looks are just smoke and mirrors. The second the ball is snapped, it transforms. One coverage becomes another. Blitzes come from nowhere. It's a chess game, and Flores is 3 moves ahead. That's the kind of creativity the Steelers were supposed to have. That's what fans were hoping for with Tomlin and Terrell Austin drawing up the schemes. But right now, it's all neon signs and flashing lights. No mystery, No misdirection. Just line up, hope it works, and too often it doesn't. And yes, Brandon Eccles has stepped in admirably, especially in that game against the Patriots. He deserves credit. But let's not pretend Joey Porter Jr. isn't a major loss. Because he is. Same goes for Elliott. These aren't just pieces, they're pivotal. They represent everything this defense is trying and currently failing to be. And while we're at it, can we talk about how weird it is that this defense is struggling this much despite all the investment? Draft picks, free agents, scheme tweaks, it's all there on paper. But none of it's translating. There's a disconnect, and it's showing up on every third down conversion they give up, every broken coverage, every missed assignment. There's no single player who can fix this. Not Joey, not Elliott, not even Watt, as superhuman as he might be. This is about cohesion, about getting guys in the right spots and letting them do what they do best, about unpredictability, about communication, about execution. While the defense is clearly under the microscope, there's another side of this team that's quietly raising alarms, the offensive line. And look, for all the talk about quarterbacks, wideouts, and offensive coordinators, none of it matters if the line in front isn't doing its job. And right now, there's a serious argument to be made that this group, for all its talent and investment, is still underperforming in a way that's holding the entire offense hostage. You got first-round picks, big money free agents, second-round projects, and players who were drafted with clear upside. This isn't some patched-together group of cast-offs. This is a line that, on paper, should be setting the tone, protecting the pocket, creating running lanes, and giving this team the kind of physical edge that Steelers football is supposed to be built on. But it's just not happening. Let's start with Broderick Jones. He was never supposed to be a finished product coming out of college. Everyone knew he had raw tools, athleticism, potential. That was the entire pitch. Bring him in, coach him up, and turn him into a cornerstone left tackle. Fast forward to now, and you still see flashes of that upside, but the consistency? It's just not there. And the truth is that's on coaching as much as it is on the player. Which brings us to Pat Meyer. Now, to be fair, the heat he gets isn't always front and center in media circles. He's not constantly on the hot seat during national broadcasts or trending across social media. But ask the fans, scroll through the comments, you'll see it. There's frustration. Because this line doesn't seem to be developing. It doesn't seem to be progressing. And for a unit that's had as much turnover and as many resources poured into it as this one, that's a problem. The idea of a positional coach, especially one tasked with overseeing a group as critical as the offensive line, is simple. Get guys better. Not just as a unit, but individually. Help them grow, fix their weaknesses, elevate their play. And when you think back to what Mike Munchak did during his time in Pittsburgh, that's exactly what you saw. His players didn't just execute. They improved. They praised him. They credited him. Even All-Pros like Marquise Pouncey raved about how Munchak helped take them to another level. Where's that with Meyer? Where's the improvement? Where's the evidence that the guys under his guidance are actually becoming better players year to year? Take Dan Moore, for example. He got paid. That's great. But has his performance justified it? Has he evolved into even an above-average tackle? Or is he still struggling with the same issues that plague him from the beginning? The answer feels obvious to anyone watching the games. And it's not just Moore. Look across the line. James Daniels was brought in with expectations. Isaac Sumalo got paid. Mason Cole was supposed to be a steady presence at center. And yet, the line still looks disjointed, inconsistent, and too often just plain overmatched. That doesn't mean these guys are bad players. It means something's not clicking. And in the NFL, when multiple talented players underperform at the same time, you start looking at the coach. Now, here's where things get even murkier. Despite all this, despite the lack of development, despite the struggles, there's no indication that Meyer's job is on the line mid-season. He's still in the building. He's still in charge. And you start to wonder, is that loyalty costing this team? Is keeping a coach like that more important than maximizing the investment made in this offensive line? Because when you really break it down, the Steelers have committed to this line. They've thrown draft capital at it. They've spent real money. They've made it a priority. And the return on that investment? Right now, it's minimal. There's just no sense of continuity or rhythm. Run blocking is hit or miss. Pass protection breaks down too easily. And the worst part? These breakdowns aren't always against elite fronts. These aren't always the Myles Garretts or the Aaron Donalds of the world blowing things up. Sometimes it's average defensive lines wreaking havoc. That's not just about talent. That's about preparation. That's about communication. That's about coaching. And listen, this isn't to say that the offensive line is the only problem. It's not, but it's a foundational issue. Because no matter who you've got at quarterback, no matter what weapons you line up outside, if your front five can't win their battles, everything else falls apart. You can't run your full playbook. You can't stretch the field. You can't establish rhythm. You're stuck reacting instead of dictating. And the longer this goes on, the harder it gets to justify keeping the current system intact. Because again, this isn't a group lacking resources. It's a group that's been prioritized. And in the NFL, when you prioritize something and it still fails to produce, accountability becomes non-negotiable. It's also fair to question how these struggles affect player confidence. When guys are getting beat repeatedly, when pressure is coming from all directions, it starts to seep into everything: play calling, quarterback mechanics, even receiver routes. The ripple effect is real, and it all starts in the trenches. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL world, the Pittsburgh Steelers have reportedly set their sights on one of the league's most electrifying talents. Sources close to the organization suggest that Terry McLaurin, the dynamic wide receiver known for his explosive plays and unmatched field vision, could be the centerpiece of Pittsburgh's latest attempt to reshape their offense. While the Steelers have traditionally been known for their stout defense and measured offensive strategy, insiders say this latest development signals a bold, almost unprecedented shift in their approach. According to whispers circulating in NFL circles, the Steelers' front office has been quietly exploring ways to give their roster a high-octane edge, and the acquisition of a top-tier quarterback has emerged as a key priority. The chatter hints that McLaurin's arrival could be part of a larger, more strategic plan to lure a true elite quarterback to Heinz Field, someone capable of maximizing the talents of Pittsburgh's new offensive weapon. While no official statements have been made, the mere suggestion of this pairing has fans and analysts alike speculating about the potential for a season that could redefine the franchise's trajectory. Social media erupted almost instantly following the initial buzz, with fan accounts dissecting every angle, from McLaurin's previous performances to the type of quarterback who could complement his skills. Could the Steelers be angling for a marquee veteran, or is this a prelude to a bold draft day gamble? The lack of confirmation has only fueled the frenzy, making every meeting, every press appearance, and every cryptic tweet a potential breadcrumb in the unfolding saga. League insiders caution that while the rumors are tantalizing, the NFL is nothing if not unpredictable. Teams have a history of keeping major acquisitions under wraps until the very last moment, and Pittsburgh has proven time and again that they're not afraid to spring surprises. But if even a fraction of this speculation holds true, Steelers fans may be in for the most electrifying offseason in years. One that could finally pair a game-changing quarterback with a receiver of McLaurin's caliber, transforming Heinz Field into one of the most feared offensive arenas in the league. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.